Okay, so we're going to keep talking about heroes and hero's journey, but want to just kind of break down one of the myths that there is, I think, around this, that it's not always about big, massive stuff. It's more often than not about lots and lots of little things.
Yes.
So over to you, Thor. I'm going to let you lead off.
Okay, thank you. So what I really like are the whispers of heroism. Yeah. So we all, everybody I've worked with, and I've been in this, I've been doing, consultations for over a decade now. So I've spoken to a few people in my time, and we all have a little whisper because maybe I should be doing something else.
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't be doing what I'm doing. I'm not filling me with joy. And it's not like, in case of my story where it was all, pretty big. Sometimes it's just that little feeling that keeps tapping you on the shoulder going like, really? Yeah. And actually, when we just pause and even just sit back and really kind of just put our ear to it and go, what are you saying? Mm-hmm. And then we can hear the very simple messages that this isn't making me happy, or this isn't all I am, or whatever it is. And when we listen, and we almost like it's like Hansel and Gretel, following the crumbs. Mm-hmm. You just take it one step at a time. It's like, maybe I'll do an evening class, or maybe I'll go on a dating app, or whatever it is. And then we go through it in a much, in a quite a subtle, almost like sort of ebbing and flowing kind of way. And then we suddenly realize there's like, ooh, something scary going on. But because we're taking ourselves by the hand and we're seeing it as kind of our own, taking ourselves on our own hero's journey, we can I'm going to take this step. I'm going to lean into my courage and I'm going to do this.
That really resonates with me, Thor, because I did a talk a couple of Sundays ago at a local church, just talking about immorality, actually.
Yeah.
And the thing that really jumped out at me was this idea of our intuition, because actually,
inner knowing,
it's the kind of even when no one's told you,
yeah,
and it is that no one's told you know stuff really kind of here. What were you going to say? Sorry, Andy.
I think it's about listening to that voice as well when it's there, and kind of if it's telling you something and it doesn't feel right inside, then there's a good reason for that, right? We're very complicated beings, and our ability to sort of self-care is, it's vast. And if even if you think this is all good, but there's something that keeps niggling at you, you need to kind of stop and just give that the time of day that it needs, because if you don't, then it will quickly snowball to something bigger. But equally, it could have a big impact on the trajectory of all sorts of things that you're doing, from every angle of your health, both physical and mental. From that point of view, it's something that's, I think, we do tend to just think, I'll do it. That's just kind of something to put aside, and we'll carry on. But
well, you've probably heard of marginal gains, right? Compound interest. Very few people talk about marginal losses.
True. Oh, interesting. I like that.
True.
So if every day you're losing 10% or 1%, let's say 1%, every day you're losing 1% of your mojo.
Yeah.
Fast forward long enough, and you will have very little left. It's that grain of sand. What's it called? That whatever principle. You can start with a heap of sand, and you just remove one grain of sand every time. Isn't that much? But there will come a point when there's no sand left.
And an analogy for that I found really helpful was cheese. Bear with me here. So you have a bit of cheese, and I know cheese is moldy anyway, but when you get a bit of proper mold on your cheese and you've got a little bit and you can just sort of slice it off, and that's kind of okay. We can all deal with that, can't we?
Yeah.
But then moldy cheese can get to the point where it's really repulsive.
Yes.
And actually that doesn't take very long if you don't take a lot of notice of what's going on with your cheese. And and obviously there's lots of smell and all that sort of stuff that comes out. But if you think about our lives, if we don't take care of those things that are a bit ragged and moldy at the edges because we think they're not important, they can very quickly come into the center.
Yes. And I think that, so in case of my story, that's what I've done. I had marginal losses over a period of time.
Wow.
And just because I didn't know. I didn't know about feelings. I was like, what? Why? How does that work? So when we don't know what we don't know, those marginal losses accumulate and accumulate. Whereas actually, when we hear other people speak, when we learn from others, and we start to listen into that voice, we can go, maybe I should be paying attention here. And we can actually avoid going down that trajectory.
That is,
and turn it around to marginal gains. Yeah. So every time it's just that 1%, that 1%. And I think for me, what for me was like a massive light bulb moment was that this is a question of skills, not talent.
Yes.
It's a question of practice, not destiny.
Yeah.
If I show up and I do my skills training, I will get there.
Yeah.
If I'm sitting here waiting for my destiny to come knocking down my door, I'll be sitting here till I'm grey and dusty. It's just, as far as I can tell, it's not going to happen.
I totally get that, Thor, and totally agree. And there's a really interesting conversation I'd love to have with you in a minute about that. Yeah. That is awesome. But on this note, though, marginal gains, marginal losses, is this something that's hitting you right now? Because if it is, we want to hear about it, and we'd love to hear what you've got to say about it. Thank you, Thor, and thank you, Andy.